If you're watching this right now, pause for half a second and look at the food in your kitchen. The oil, the bread, the flavors you take for granted, because there's a strong chance one of the oldest foods in human history is sitting there, quietly, unchanged for thousands of years, before money had value, before nations had borders, before written language even existed. This food was already shaping civilizations, and most people today have no idea how deep that story goes. The olive tree did not start as a luxury ingredient. It didn't begin as a garnish, or a health trend, or a Mediterranean brand. The olive began as survival. Long before humans learned to bake bread or ferment wine, they were gathering wild olives from rocky hillsides in the eastern Mediterranean. Archaeological evidence shows humans were interacting with wild olive trees at least 20,000 years ago. That's not farming, that's foraging. That's early humans recognizing that this bitter, almost inedible fruit had potential if they could figure out how to tame it. Fresh olives straight off the tree are not food. They are aggressively bitter, almost toxic to the human palate. This bitterness comes from oleuropein, a natural compound that protects the fruit from being eaten prematurely. Early humans didn't know chemistry, but they knew trial and error. Over generations, they discovered that soaking olives in water, brine, or ash could remove bitterness. This was not accidental. This was one of the earliest examples of humans manipulating food through controlled processing. Long before cheese, long before beer, olives forced humans to learn patience. The real transformation began around 7,000 years ago in the region known today as the southern Levant, modern Israel, Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, and southern Syria. This is where the olive tree crossed the line from wild plant to cultivated crop. Archaeologists know this because of olive pits found in human settlements, changes in pit size that indicate selective breeding, and chemical traces of olive oil absorbed into ancient pottery. This is not legend. This is lab-verified evidence. Before we go any further, if you're into real food history, not internet myths, not fake ancient secrets, but documented, evidence-based stories that built the world, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is about understanding food the way historians do, not the way influencers sell it. What made olives different from other early crops was longevity. Wheat grows and dies in a season. Grapes follow cycles. Olive trees live for centuries, some for millennia. Planting an olive tree was not an investment for the farmer. It was an investment for their grandchildren. That alone changed how humans thought about land ownership, inheritance, and permanence. Once humans learned to press olives for oil, everything changed. Olive oil was not just food, it was energy. It burned cleanly in lamps. It preserved other foods. It protected skin. It treated wounds. In a world without electricity, without refrigeration, without synthetic medicine, olive oil was infrastructure. Entire settlements were organized around olive groves because losing them meant economic collapse. From the Levant, olive cultivation spread westward across the Mediterranean basin. This wasn't random. It followed trade routes. Phoenician traders carried olive cuttings and oil across the sea, establishing groves in Cyprus, Crete, and the Greek mainland. By the Bronze Age, olives were already central to Aegean economies. Linear B tablets from Mycenaean Greece list olive oil alongside grain and livestock as state-controlled resources. That tells you everything about its value. In ancient Greece, olives became more than agriculture. They became identity. According to myth, the city of Athens chose the olive tree over Poseidon's saltwater spring, not because it was poetic, but because it was practical. The olive represented food, fuel, trade, and stability. Olympic athletes were crowned with olive wreaths, not gold. Not because gold was unknown, but because the olive symbolized endurance, discipline, and contribution to society. Winning meant honor, not wealth. Greek physicians, including Hippocrates, documented olive oil's medicinal uses in detail. They weren't guessing. They observed wound healing, skin protection, and inflammation reduction. These texts survived because olive oil worked. If it didn't, it wouldn't have lasted in medical tradition for centuries. When Rome rose to power, olives went industrial. The Romans scaled olive production like no civilization before them. They built massive oil presses, storage facilities, and shipping networks. Amphorae filled with olive oil traveled from Spain, North Africa, and Italy to feed the empire. Monte Testaccio in Rome, an entire hill made of broken olive oil jars, still exists today. That's not symbolism. That's data in clay form. Roman soldiers used olive oil for hygiene, scraping dirt and sweat from their skin with strigils. Roman law regulated olive oil grades. Roman writers documented pruning techniques, harvest timing, and pressing methods with shocking precision. This was not folk knowledge, this was agricultural science. What's critical to understand is that olives shaped landscapes. Terraced hillsides across the Mediterranean were built specifically for olive cultivation. These terraces controlled erosion, conserved water, and allowed farming in otherwise hostile environments. Entire ecosystems were engineered around one tree. As the Roman Empire declined, olive cultivation didn't disappear. It adapted. In the Islamic Golden Age, olive agriculture and oil processing were preserved, refined, and expanded. Agricultural manuals from medieval Islamic scholars improved irrigation, grafting, and oil extraction efficiency. Many modern olive varieties owe their survival to this period. Religion didn't invent the olive's importance, religion reflected it. Olive oil appears in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic texts because it was already central to daily life: lamps, food, medicine, anointing. These weren't symbolic uses, they were practical realities that later gained spiritual meaning. After the age of exploration, olives crossed oceans. Spanish missionaries planted olive trees in the Americas, particularly in Mexico and California. These early groves struggled at first, but where the climate matched the Mediterranean pattern, dry summers, mild winters, olives thrived. California's olive industry today traces directly back to those early cuttings. Here's something most people don't realize: olive trees don't want comfort. They produce better oil when stressed. Rocky soil, limited water, harsh sunlight. That stress concentrates flavor and fat content. The same tree planted in rich, overwatered soil produces lower quality oil. Olives reward discipline, not excess. Some olive trees alive today were already ancient when the Roman Empire existed. They've survived fires, wars, climate shifts, and human neglect. When an olive tree is cut down, it often regrows from its roots. Destruction doesn't end it, it resets it. That resilience is not metaphorical, it's biological. Modern olive oil fraud exists because olive oil is still valuable. If it weren't, no one would fake it. The fact that governments regulate olive oil standards today, the same way Rome did 2,000 years ago, tells you the story never ended. It evolved. So when you pour olive oil into a pan, you're not following a trend. You're participating in a food system older than written memory. You're using a technology refined by trial, error, and survival across civilizations. That bottle is history, not hype. And if you want more real food history like this, stories that actually shaped human civilization, subscribe, like, and share this video. This channel isn't about nostalgia. It's about understanding how food built the world you live in. Because the olive tree doesn't just survive history, it remembers it. And if you stay curious, history keeps feeding you back.